Feducation presented by Thicc Radio. Welcome back to Feducation. Grab a snack, sit back, and get relaxed. It's time to learn. What is a feeder? We define a feeder as an individual of any designation who opts to assist with another individual's weight gain through feeding for sexual, emotional, and personal gratification. While some feeders can enjoy aspects of muscle growth, feeders predominantly focus on feeding for the acquisition of fat. Feeders participate in what is known as feedism. We define feedism as the process of participating in weight gain in conjunction with sexual, emotional, and personal gratification. This is something that participants typically do in pairs or groups. As discussed in our previous episode, remember that feedism used to be called feederism. This change occurred to place power back in the hands of feedies, away from feeders. This is not to suggest that feeders are inherently bad, but rather that this repositioning empowers feedies, and protects feeders from stereotypical assumptions of power imbalance. Feeders are rarely feedies themselves. They focus on the feedie, and in return, feeders receive fulfillment by watching the feedie obey their instructions and/or influences, and by watching the feedie achieve their growth as part of that process, though this exists on a spectrum of engagement. For example, some feeders want to be present physically to enact their process of feeding, but some feeders prefer to conduct their engagement from afar, oftentimes in a purely digital context. As well, some feeders are also willing to financially support feedies with their growth or take a hands-on approach to feeding to ensure the feedie grows from their direct influence. Overall, the process is very straightforward. Participants communicate with feedies and assess their needs to help them achieve greater potential within the feeding process. No culture is a monolith, so it should come as no surprise that not all feeders focus on the same criteria. Some focus on the diet of the feedie, encouraging them to consume specific food or recipes designed to increase growth. Some focus on the sexual appetite of the feedie, using food reward and as a motivator to encourage the feedie's growth. Some approach the social needs of the feedie, utilizing their intimate position to create a safe space for the feedie to indulge more in their consumption. Much like with feedies, the process for feedism is unique to the feeder and can be adapted depending on the feedie they engage with. Feedism provides satisfaction by way of collaborative transformation. Though feedies and feeders enjoy the transformative aspect of feedism, typically only feedies wish to transform themselves. However, some feeders are also feedies. It is through feeding that feeders can fulfill this desire for themselves as a part of a mutual exchange of sexual, emotional and personal satisfaction. Anyone of any size can be a feeder, and there is no prerequisite experience needed to justify this identity. For many, this is the first step taken before identifying as a feedie, though it is important to recognize this is not always the case. Feeders are core components of the wider communities and act as allies when it comes to narratives on growth. Thank you for joining us for this lesson. Please like and subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Join us next week, when we will be summarizing the subject of altisexuality. Thanks for watching.